welcome to my channel. It's Jess with Love to Plan with Jess, and today I'm going to be doing a recap of the Chicago Planner Conference. I'm going to be kind of giving my thoughts and feelings about the conference as a first-time attendee, and since I was also a first-time attendee of Go Wild this year back in April, I thought that I would sort of compare and contrast the two. So I do have some notes here on my lap that I am going to be referring to just so that I don't leave anything out. So I arrived to the conference, or to Chicago, on Thursday, and the conference doesn't start until Friday, but I wanted to get there a day early just to sort of decompress and get settled in. And I did the same thing for Go Wild, and I really liked that. So I kind of feel like that is going to be what I do going forward for any of these conferences, is to get there a day before registration so that I have time to get settled in. So I arrived at the hotel, I got checked in, and the check-in was a breeze, and the hotel was great, the staff was great, really enjoyed my stay there. So I didn't really do much that evening. I just kind of looked around the hotel a little bit, had some dinner, and had an early night. On Friday was registration, but registration didn't start until 2, so I had some time in the morning to do a little bit of exploring. So I met up with some of my friends that I had met at Go Wild back in April, and they are my planner besties, and we are a little group that has stayed in touch since Go Wild, and it was so much fun to see them again. So we got together and we explored a little bit. We walked from the hotel to get some deep dish pizza, because when in Chicago, you have to get some deep dish pizza. And I really enjoyed it. It was my first time having Chicago style deep dish pizza. And then after lunch, we walked over to Garrett Popcorn, because that was another thing that I wanted to try, because I had never been to Chicago before, so I wanted to try the popcorn. I had heard that it was super yummy, and it was. I got the Chicago mix, the cheddar and caramel, and then they also had this like hot cocoa and caramel mixture that I got, and they were both really good. So from there, we went to the Bean and got to see that, took lots of pictures, and that was really fun. And then after, we walked back to the hotel, and then it was time for registration. Registration for this conference was a breeze. There were no long lines. And I think I don't remember exactly what time it was that we went down to registration. I know it started at 2 and we weren't there right at 2, but there were no long lines. They had it broken out by last name, and we pretty much just walked up to the table and were able to get our badge and our swag bag, which was very exciting. I'm going to be doing a swag video that will post in a couple of days. So if you're interested in all of the fun goodies that I got at the conference, I'll be sharing that in that video. But we did pick up our badges, and on our badge, we have, I have it right here. It shows your table number, and it shows the sessions that you signed up for. So a couple of months before the conference, all of the attendees are sent a list of all of the table vendors, and you can choose your top 10 tables. It's kind of like a wish list, and they do their best to give everybody a table that is on their list. So when you arrive and you pick up your badge, you have your table number there. And while you don't know what the table is, you have your table number so that you know where to go when you enter the conference. And the whole process was very organized. I was really impressed by the organization, really, of the whole conference. So after registration, we had a meet and greet with Heather Kell, and that was really cool. Got to take a picture with her, and there was also a book swap, which I didn't partake in, mainly because all of my books are digital. I read them all on a Kindle, and so I don't really have physical books, and so I didn't really have anything to bring for the swap. But there was a book swap. It was like a blind book swap, which a lot of people participated in, and it looked really fun. And then there was the meet and greet with Heather, which was really cool, from Kelva Plan. And after that, there were make and takes. So
It was kind of like a little crafting session, and you sign up for a time slot. And this all happens like months before the conference. You make your selection, so when you get there isn't really a whole lot that you have to like think about or worry about. It's all sort of mapped out for you. So we had our time slot for our make and takes, and there were 4 different stations, and I actually have the goodies that we made that I can show. So the first one was like a junk journal table, and this was the little junk journal that I created. There were just some like supplies on the table, and we got to create a junk journal. The next one was this little chalkboard, and this one was really fun to make. I had a lot of fun with that. The third was a stamping session where we got to put some stamps on the page. And the last one was sublimation, and we got to create this little luggage tag. And all of them were really fun. I enjoyed the make and takes a lot. So that was the end of Friday. And after our make and takes, we just sort of sat in the not really the bar area, but like outside the bar area with some friends and just chatted and caught up, and it was a lot of fun. The next day was Saturday, and this was sort of day 2 of the conference, but really kind of the start of it. And the doors opened at 10 o'clock, and one thing that was wonderful about this conference, and this is all due to the table selection that occurs months before the conference, and the fact that you are assigned a table, is that you don't have to go down and like line up super early. So I think I wandered down to the lobby around 9:15 or 9:30, and got in line and went into the conference room, and I knew my table number, but I didn't know what table it was. And so kind of walking around and looking at all of the tables, and every table was amazing. Getting to see all of the sponsors and all of the work that they put into the tables. Every table was decorated beautifully. And so I found my table, table 30. And I was at the Royal Treatment table, which is kind of like a self-care, like lotion and spa, bath salts and things like that. I will show all of the goodies that I got from my sponsored table in my swag video. So after everybody found their sponsored table and everybody was so excited looking at all of the fun things that the generous sponsors provided, we had a little intro from the co-chairs of the event, and they talked a little bit about how this event started, and how it started as just kind of a little meetup in Chicago of some people that had a passion for planning, and how it grew into this 3-day event with 600 attendees. And it was really fun to listen to them talk. So the theme for this conference was Authentically Me, and I loved the theme, and I felt like all of the speakers throughout the whole weekend did such a wonderful job in tying that theme into their speeches. The first speaker that we had was Bess from Lights Planner Action, and she talked about journaling. And I love that she talked about how our journals are just for us. And if we think of it that way, then we can be true to ourselves and really be true to our feelings, and write down our true thoughts. And that kind of resonated with me a little bit, because I am a journaler. I do try and journal every day, and it's really good to remember that this journal is just for us, and to be true to our feelings when we're writing in our journals. The next speaker was Adriana Carrig from Little Words Project. And if you aren't familiar, the Little Words Project has these little bracelets that are gorgeous, and they have these words and sayings on them. And she gave a very inspiring story of resilience, and I just loved listening to her speak. She talked about her top 5 words, and I'm going to read them from my paper because I don't remember. Believe, self-love, I am enough, keep going, and grace. And I loved all of them. We got a bracelet that says authentic on it to kind of go with the theme of Authentically Me. And I just love it. It's beautiful.
So after the two speakers concluded, it was time for our workshops. There were two different workshop sessions, and that was another thing that we had signed up for prior to the convention. So we were given a list of all of the different workshops, and we got to select the two that we wanted to attend. And so the first one that I chose was Unlock Your Planner Potential with Laurel Denise. And in this one, we got to take a look at all of the different layouts that Laurel Denise provides. And we did a couple of exercises. One exercise that helps you kind of figure out what your like perfect planner would be. And then we did another exercise using sticky notes, and that was sort of another way to be able to take things that you would put in your planner and sort of be able to move them around to figure out which planner works the best for you. So she had some printouts of the different layouts that that is offered with Laurel Denise, and we were able to take the sticky notes and kind of move them from one layout to the other to see sort of where they fit. And that was a really fun exercise. And one of the main reasons that I chose that for my workshop, this is a spoiler for 2025, is that I am planning to use a Laurel Denise planner in my lineup. So I really wanted to kind of be able to check out all of the layouts. And one really awesome thing was that at the very end, we were given a free planner, which was so exciting and so unexpected. And not just a free planner, but we were able to go onto the website and choose whichever layout we wanted. And I thought that that was beyond generous, and I was so grateful for that. But in my 2025 lineup video, which will come out in a few weeks, you'll be able to see which one I chose and how I plan to use it. So that was the first workshop. And the second workshop was Plan with Precision with Cloth and Paper. And in that workshop, we did some mind mapping exercises and talked a lot about goals and how to make SMART goals. And I really enjoyed that session as well. There was a lot of discussion, and that was a great workshop. So that was the end of Saturday. Then on Sunday, Sunday was the last day of the conference, and it was only a 2-hour block from 10 to 12, and we had two speakers. The first one was Heather Kell from Kelva Plan, and she was such an awesome speaker. It was so much fun to listen to her. She talked a lot about her childhood and her love for reading and becoming a teacher, and then her love for planning and how she created an Instagram account to share her planner spreads and how that turned into a YouTube channel and how that turned into a very successful business. And it was so much fun to listen to her. And the way that she tied in the Authentically Me theme for the conference about being true to herself and what it means in her business to be authentic and to be true to herself. And that it was a really great speech and a lot of fun to listen to her. And the very last speaker that we had was Andrea Ballo from Coco Michelle. And again, another very inspiring story of creating a successful business. And in her story, I loved one of the quotes that she gave, or something that she said: journeys are not a straight line. And she talked a lot about her path to success and how it wasn't linear at all. And I really liked listening to her story. So that was the conclusion of the conference. I enjoyed it so much. I had such a great time connecting with friends that I had made, old friends, and meeting new people, and it was just such a wonderful experience. So let's talk a little bit now about how it compared to Go Wild. So there were definitely some differences between this conference and Go Wild. One main difference is the size. So this conference only had 600 attendees, and Go Wild, I believe, had over 2,000. And so just like the sheer size of the conference was definitely different. And you can kind of feel that difference in, I don't really want to say the energy, but I definitely felt like this conference had a calmer vibe to it. Not that everybody wasn't so excited to be there, and there was definitely a lot of really positive energy, but it didn't feel maybe as chaotic as Go Wild. And while I absolutely loved Go Wild as well, the energy was just a little bit different. And I'm not sure if that was due to the size or just the different vibe of the two conferences. So that was a major difference, was the size. Another difference was just in the organization and how I didn't really feel like I was waiting in line for things, and there was like a very set schedule and things that we did months before the conference that kind of set it up for like it to run very smoothly. And so I really liked that. I liked that things were kind of set ahead of time. And one of the main things that was set ahead of time was your sponsored table. And that is a huge difference between Go Wild and the Chicago Planner Conference, is that at Go Wild, you wake up super early and you get in line, and there's, you know, a couple of thousand people in line waiting to get into the room, and you walk in, and this is actually a really fun part of Go Wild, is walking in and seeing all the tables and going around and trying to choose the one that you want to sit at. But for Chicago Planner Conference, it was set for you. So you have your table number on your badge, and you still have that excitement when you walk into the room, but the excitement is different because you're not selecting your table. You're just excited about, oh, which table did I get? And so I felt like both of them were exciting. But for the Chicago Planner Conference, it really was sort of like a calmer feeling, and you know, we didn't have to wake up super early, and there wasn't a super long line, and I did really like that. And then another major difference is that at the Chicago Planner Conference, there is a vendor marketplace where there are tons of vendors, mostly small shops, but a couple of big shops, where you can go and shop and buy product. At Go Wild, they did have a vendor fair, and there were some bigger brands there. I know Live Love Posh was selling, but I don't know that there were very many other vendors that were actually selling at Go Wild. And so that was a major difference, is that at the Chicago Planner Conference, you could go and shop till you drop. And I did buy a few things in my swag video. I'll show you what I picked up. Let's talk about some similarities. So one of the main similarities, I think, is the community, the sense of community, that it being a safe place, and that you're with like-minded people, and just the feeling that I got of being in my happy place. And in both conferences, I had that same just sense of belonging, and it was a good feeling being there. So that was one of the main similarities that I found between the two, was just kind of the vibe and how I felt. Another similarity was the swag. Of course, you get tons of swag in both conferences, and while that's not why we go, it really was a lot of fun to get a bunch of fun swag. Another similarity was just the feeling of excitement and being there and seeing friends and meeting new people, and just that sense of excitement was the same in both places. And then another similarity were kind of the feelings that I had when I left, that my cup was full, and just a sense of like motivation, renewed motivation, feeling re-energized in my planning, and being excited to come home and to plan and to create and all of those things. And of course, being exhausted. I was equally exhausted at Go Wild as I was at Chicago Planner Conference. But it's a good reason to be exhausted. I definitely had a lot of fun. So I guess to recap, I had a wonderful time at the Chicago Planner Conference. It was such a great experience, and I do plan to go back next year. If you are curious about it, I hope that this video helped you to kind of understand what it was all about. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.